All right. Well, welcome everybody for this listening session. I am Dave Carter, Regional Director for the Flower Hill Institute, and along with my fellow Regional Director, Chris Roper, we're pleased to be hosting this 2 hour listening session here. We're hoping that we can get everybody in. We had a lot of folks register, and we've bumped up our Zoom capabilities here to make sure everybody can participate, and we sure hope that yeah, everyone can do that here for the next couple hours. So let me. We're going to go through just a few housekeeping details here before we get started. To kind of let everybody know how we're going to be operating. And then we're going to have a welcome from the administrator of the Rural Cooperative Business Service. And then we'll get right into it. So, first of all, I think some of the folks that are here may not be fully familiar with the Meat and Poultry Technical Assistance Program. This was launched in 2022 to really provide assistance for smaller meat and poultry processors. And USDA's Agricultural Marketing Service recruited a really good network of organizations to be part of the Technical Assistance Network. You can see those there, everybody from American Association of Meat Processors to Niche Meat Processing Assistance Network. Flower Hill Institute, which is a indigenous-led nonprofit based in New Mexico, was brought on. Our cooperative agreement has us to play the coordinating role for the network, which we've been doing for the last couple years. And our scope of work for the network that goes through the end of 2026 includes federal funding technical assistance, which is why we're here today, is to talk about a new grant opportunity that USDA Rural Development is going to be announcing soon. But we have three other areas that are very important. First of all, we assist smaller processors with technical assistance. What type of facility do you need? What type of equipment? What design? What are the capabilities? Also, your business technical assistance, business planning, marketing plans, and the like, and then supply chain development. Everything from trying to coordinate sourcing the animals and materials to what do you do with the byproducts. And to request the no-cost technical assistance, you can just use that QR code there. That will bring it in, and we'll get back to you within 24 hours. Now, for the point of today's listening session, USDA Rural Development will be putting together a new meat processing expansion program grant here sometime around the first of the year. And it's important to note that this one is going to be focused strictly on beef. This one is really intended to help out the beef industry. So it's going to be focused in that area. But what we want to know today is three areas, really. What areas of support will help your business success? Whether you're an existing processor or a startup. Secondly, what are the most consistent constraints and challenges that you face in meat processing today? What do we need to address to overcome those? And then third, what kind of training needs do you have for your facility? We see that a lot as Chris and I travel around, that folks are struggling with workforce training. So we want to hear from that. And then a couple other important points. First of all, register now for SAMS.gov. This is a process that can take a couple of weeks. So if you think you are going to be applying for this grant and you're not in the SAMS system already, get started, get that knocked out of the way. And we can help you with that too if you run into some difficulties. And then it's important to note that when this grant opportunity opens, USDA will have a dedicated mailbox so that you can submit your questions and get some ongoing answers. So now the format today that we're going to use, because we have so many people here, is we're asking you to enter your name in the chat box. And we will start calling on people in the order in which they're listed. If you don't want to speak, on camera or on mic, feel free to type your question or your comments into the chat box, and we will just relay these. Everything is being recorded. So everything that you either type in the chat box or that you provide in a comment will be recorded. Like I say, we'll unmute speakers in the order that you're in the queue, and you'll have 2 minutes to describe your priorities. We don't want to limit anybody, but because of the number of folks we have on here, we want to give folks the best chance, as many people a chance to speak. If we go through the first round and there's some extra time, anyone can provide an additional 2 minutes of input. And then just simply stay muted. This is for listening, so be courteous, maintain respect. And when I say this is for listening, this is for us to listen. I talked to a couple of processors that said, yeah, I'm going to tune in because I want to listen to what's going on. And you're not listening to Chris or I talk today. We were wanting to listen to you. So please feel free to give us your comments. And as I said, this session is being recorded. So Chris, did I miss anything here before we call on the administrator?
No, no, I think you hit everything, Dave. Again, we appreciate you all joining us. We're still letting people in, so we have a lot of interest in this grant opportunity. So again, please be courteous. Know that there's a lot of people on the call. We're going to do our best to try to reach everyone. That's why we set it up for 2 hours. So please be patient with us. If we don't happen to get all the questions answered within our time allotment, we will make sure and record the questions and get those issued back to you.
Great. So with that, want to turn it over to J.R. Clays, who's the administrator of the Rural Business Cooperative Service, for some opening comments here. And let me get my screen off of here. Okay, there. Go ahead, Mr. Administrator.
Yeah, thank you. A huge thank you to Dave Carter, Chris Roper, Nicole Mass, the entire team at Flower Hill, both for their partnership and for putting this meeting together. I, along with my team at USDA, are incredibly grateful for all of you who are in attendance today to help make our execution of this program more efficient and equipped to fulfill Secretary Rollins' priority of lowering the prices of beef for American consumers. Since 2017, the U.S. has lost over 17% of our cattle ranchers, more than 150,000 operations. The national herd size is at a 75-year low, while consumer demand for beef has increased approximately 9% over the past decade. As we regrow our national herd, USDA is investing during the downturn so that the next upswing is less volatile for ranchers and more affordable for consumers. The plan to fortify the American beef industry focuses on three coordinated priorities: protecting and improving the business of ranching, expanding processing, consumer transparency and market access, and building demand alongside domestic policy. Specifically here within the Rural Business Cooperative Service, we intend to put forth a fourth round of grant funding for the Meat and Poultry Processing Expansion Program, or MPEP. Our goal is to support small and mid-sized processors with a focus on promoting local supply chains, and the Secretary has given us guidance that those grants will total up to $2 million per award. We will also be prioritizing applications with USDA's Business and Industry Loan Program to allow up to a $25 million guaranteed loan to increase local beef processing capacity. The goal of this listening session for my team and me is to learn how we can tailor this next round of MPEP to achieve the maximum efficiency to accomplishing those goals laid out by Secretary Rollins. So I again want to thank you for your participation, and now I will turn it back over to our friends at Flower Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Administrator. Appreciate that very much. So, Chris, let's just jump right into it. Maybe you're looking at the chat there.
Yep,
You can
yep.
start.
I've got
Start in here.
Sean Van Dyken from Friesla is the first on the list. So Sean, if you want to unmute and let us hear your comments.
Wow. Well, thanks, gents, for having us here today, and really appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, I just wanted to quickly list off four priorities we would like to see. Friesla, as you know, we do modular and mobile meat processing systems across the country. And the one thing, so first, targeted funding. So if USDA could make this a recurring program, so if the MPEP program could be recurring, we think that would be beneficial for small processors, so they can anticipate what's coming down the pike. Two, we would really strongly encourage a focus on very small plants. We feel that that's where the opportunities are across the country from the people we speak with. Three, focus on the slaughter, processing, and value-added products, or RTE, ready to eat, should be a top priority. And then scalable solutions. So if mobile and modular systems built in the U.S., technology forward plants, these should be specifically mentioned in the grant application guidelines, so that people are clear that that these qualify. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
Yeah.
Who's
Ashley
next,
Clark,
Chris?
Ashley Clark, you're up next.
Hey, my name is Ashley Clark. My husband and I own Blue Ridge Processing in Marion, North Carolina, and we are considered a very small plant. We focus on further processed items for what we can do right now, and we're really hoping that this grant will help cover, as Sean mentioned, the ready to eat, further processing and things like that, expanding our capabilities that we have right now to process local beef. We have a lot of farmers that are really wanting to do things like beef jerky and summer sausage and snack sticks and things like that. So that's something that we're really interested in. We're hoping to source more animals because we do have a retail outlet as well. And that's been a very difficult thing to do, is to source those animals so that we can get the good beef to our local community. We're really, really looking to help as many people as possible, as much as, farm raised directly to the consumer. So right now we're USDA and process beef, bison, pork, lamb, and goat, and potentially looking into poultry processing, as there's not very many USDA poultry processors. So we're looking at it from quite a few different angles. But I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ashley. We appreciate your comments and appreciate what you all are doing there in North Carolina. Next up is Darren Froming. Hopefully I pronounced that right, Darren. My apologies if I did not.
Nope, pretty close. No, thank you. The important part, or let me start by introducing with TFC Poultry. We are a deboning company for poultry, and we partner a lot with the various slaughter plants in the industry, both on chicken and turkey, and being included into future grant programs, we think is important because we really help to solve a need that's out there for the getting that bird broke down or getting those parts broke down. Historically, either slaughter plants were able to do that themselves, or as time has went on, they export those items that they're not able to debone themselves. And as labor continues to get more difficult, our role has been having an increased need because we can help get that bird that's been slaughtered now actually into a boneless form that's usable for further processing or retail or whatever it might be. And so in some previous grants, there's been a lot of focus on that, on having that slaughter connection, and that always really limited our role that we could play in specific to the grant application. And so I think recognition of, hey, this is a segment of the industry that plays a role. And as we see, dark meat is a lot of things. We do a lot of dark meat deboning, and that's a huge has driven and rose up in the popularity within the U.S. for a number of reasons. And so our product stays 100% in the U.S. But just recognizing the segment of the industry that we play in, that isn't, it's not always just slaughter and not always just that further processing. There's that middle player.
Okay, thank you, Darren. Yep.
Yeah. Next up is Diane Padilla.
I basically don't have a lot to say. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
I can hear you, Danny.
Other
Hi there.
than the very high, other than the very small is needed because a lot of people, I'm sorry, I'm at home today. A lot of people don't have, and areas don't have thousands of animals to harvest. They have hundreds. So very small would be something we're looking at for the Rio Grande Valley.
Great.
Thank you, Diane.
Sure.
Monica Hernandez and Dave, we had several come in maybe after we started. Just so you all know, if you have questions, comments, or ideas that you want to share with us, please make sure you put your name in the chat, and we're working our way down the list right now. So, Monica Hernandez, you're up next.
All right. My name is Monica Hernandez. I'm from Louisiana. We started as a farm, so we have multi-species animals, beef, swine. This area, we're in Cajun country, so we're big on pork. We do poultry and goats and lamb. Our focus has been on value-added products and processing. So we expanded as we have a processing facility. We just finished building our slaughterhouse that we just opened in May. And actually we're ready, we ran out of space now for freezing. So we do private labels, we do custom. And we've seen a lot of small farmers coming to us to do the private labels. And, you know, our focus is first, of course, we have to do ours first and then the rest. But just by adding freezing space, we should be able to, you know, accommodate and help a lot of little farmers that sometimes they just want to sell, you know, 5 cows, 10 cows a year. But by being able to do private labels, you know, they're able to do that, rather, especially the 30 plus. We can do 30 plus because the way we build the slaughterhouses, you know, very high ceilings. We can, you know, we can hang them for a while. There's sometimes they want 30 days. And right now we're able to do that, but we need a little more space and a little more focus also on poultry because there's no poultry processors here in Louisiana. Everybody has to go to Mississippi to do it. We can do our own up to 20,000, but a lot of people, you know, just don't know where to take their poultry.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Monica.
Yeah, let's head up to Montana now and hear from Matt Skoglund.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Dave. Yeah, first, just thank you so much for this grant program. It's yeah, greatly needed, really appreciated. And thank you so much for this listening session. So my name is Matt Skoglund, founder and owner of North Bridger Bison here in the Shield Valley of Montana. We raise bison, sell 100% direct to consumer. A growing business, growing ranch, just expanded this summer. And just a few points to add to the great points that have already been made. I hope that this new grant program, I know it's beef focused, but I hope it includes bison for processing facilities that either, you know, do bison or bison and beef, because, you know, more processing capability for bison will only free up processing slots for beef. So it'd be, you know, win-win for the goals of this program. And then second, I hope that grants are available for new processors in new areas and not just existing processors. I think that's something that's critically needed. And again, that'd be win-win for the goals of this program. Also echo what folks said about grants for small facilities. And yeah, so those are really the points I wanted to make. And again, thanks for doing this.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, next up we have Sarah Carden.
Hey everyone, I'm Sarah Carden. I'm the Research and Policy Director at Farm Action, a farmer-led research and advocacy nonprofit that works to build a fair, competitive, resilient food system. Thanks so much for hosting. I just want to briefly flag one opportunity based on feedback we hear from small scale processors like many of the ones here today. With the high level of concentration in the meat and poultry sector, we have some concerns. We're thrilled that you are investing in expanding this capacity, but we're worried it might not be enough to ensure the long-term viable success for small and mid-sized processors. Equally important is reliable market to access. So I just want to take a moment to encourage USDA to consider explicitly connecting these grants with federal procurement policy, particularly within USDA's own purchasing programs. We think that by aligning procurement with grant-funded processing capacity, it could help ensure a more stable, predictable demand for many of these processors, help strengthen local supply chains, and really maximize the public value of these investments. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Next up, we have our friend Rebecca out at the Niche Meat Processors Assistance Network.
Hi, thank you so much for hosting this. It's really fantastic to be able to accept feedback on a federal grant program and be able to influence its delivery. Since I'm part of the MPP-TA group, of course, I would love to see these grants combined with extending the MPP-TA program so that we can continue to help these processors apply for the grants and successfully implement them. So we hope that those things can kind of go hand in hand. As we know, there's in this country now, we have sort of an excess of line space for beef, and we have plants that are closing. And so I'd love for the focus of these grants to be less about increasing slaughter capacity and more about improving efficiencies and cost containment for existing facilities. So I would recommend a focus on solid and liquid waste management. It's becoming a huge issue with the lack of rendering companies and the strengthening of water quality regulations in many states. We need better solutions for solid and liquid waste. As well, worker safety and efficiency is really important, especially as labor becomes more constrained, but also just to take good care of our people. More emphasis on full carcass utilization and new product development. Every animal is precious, especially when there's not a lot of them. So we need to figure out how to utilize the whole animal, and small plants really struggle with that. More emphasis on food safety, tracking and traceability, humane animal handling facilities, adding wholesale or retail options for small plants as a way for them to survive and expand their markets, energy conservation and renewable energy to reduce their utility costs, developing export markets, and other strategies to keep folks in business. So that's where we'd like to see a strong emphasis. Thank you.
Thank you,
so
Rebecca.
much, Rebecca.
Yeah.
I'll add real quick. I have to brag on Rebecca. And Rebecca, maybe if you have a minute, could share your key performance indicator document with everyone on the call. I love what you all did with the Good Roots project on that, and I think it's vital for small processors to understand that. So if you have a minute.
We did case studies on several plants. Some of them are probably on this call on what are key operational and financial performance metrics for them to first of all, to monitor and also to stay in business. And so we've got a very dense publication on our website on it. And we also recently did a webinar on it, which I'll post in the chat just to help folks.
Thank you so much, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Rosemary Linares, you're next in Michigan.
Yes, thank you. Rosemary Linares. I'm here with Damien's Craft Meats, which is a new USDA inspected multi-species meat processing facility in Southeast Michigan. The U.S. is high five. There are not many in this area, so we're excited to be establishing ourselves. It's been a 10-year process, and I just want to start by sharing +1 to everything that Rebecca said. absolutely 100%. Those are really great suggestions. And then I have 3 points that I would add. As a current MPEP grantee from the second round of MPEP funding, I just want to shout out the New Hampshire Community Loan as they are supporting us with the reimbursement process. I know that was different from MPEP 1. It's been a joy to work with Terry Birch and Luke Knowles and the team over there. They hold my hand multiple times through the comprehensive and rigorous reporting requirements and reimbursement process. And as a small, independently owned facility, that is very important to have that personal touch and support. Also, highlight that new processors need to enter the market. This is very important. This is who we are. We would not be able to get to this point of planning on launching and starting construction next year if it weren't for the MPEP grant. So making sure that these grants are available to small processors is of paramount importance, and that also that the grants can continue to support the construction costs, but also soft costs, because investors and lenders are not as keen on the soft costs, like making sure we have a really strong pro forma business and financial planning. And then the third recommendation would be an opportunity to connect the grantees together. And there could be some kind of programming or support for current grantees to get matched with new grantees, as maybe like a mentorship program or some kind of pairing, a place to build community and a community of practice, because especially for new facilities coming online across the country, there's a lot. It's a very difficult market to enter, and having opportunities to connect as grantees within USDA supported programs would be really helpful. I think that there are some elements of that already happening, but a really structured opportunity that could potentially even include scholarships or funding to send folks to conferences and in-person opportunities to share best practices, because it's really those informal conversations where we share things that we get some of the most juicy ideas. So thank you for this opportunity to share, and I appreciate all that you're doing. Thanks.
Thank you, Rosemary. I think next up is Catherine Quambeck.
Hi, good morning. I'm Catherine Quanbeck. I work with Stemple Creek Ranch, which is a multi-species regional meats company in California. And I do operations and value-added production there. So I don't work at a processing facility. We don't own a processing facility, but we work with 8 different processing facilities on a weekly basis. We use 4 for slaughter, for beef, lamb, pork, and chicken, and then 4 more facilities for further processing, grinding, portion cutting, value-added products. And I would really, I echo what a lot of people have said on the call of there really is quite a bit of capacity out there in terms of chain space for slaughter. I think the last Sterling report last week had, fed plant capacity. We're using about 80%, even lower for cow kill plants. So really, it seems like there's plenty of slaughter out there. And in my experience, that has been true. We've been able to maintain access to slaughter. But where we see the real value of regional scale meat companies like Stemple Creek Ranch is in that partnership with our slaughter and processing facilities. So we bring reliable business, right? We show up every week or every month. We've honored our commitments to stay with those plants through the ups and downs, because we have a commitment on the other end to our customers, to the retail grocery stores we sell into, the restaurants, the direct-to-consumer business we do. So I'd really, I think for this round of grants, emphasize honestly a co-applicant with either a meat company or livestock producers. As we've seen in this industry, if you build it, they will come doesn't necessarily work. So really having, if you're going to expand capacity in any format, whether that's slaughter or further processing, who's going to utilize that capacity? And so having that co-applicant of a meat company, a group of livestock producers, I think would really strengthen these projects to know kind of who's going to be there. And especially, again, to looking at kind of those regional scale businesses. We were talking earlier about, one of the big emphasis is to lower beef prices at the grocery store. You're up against the biological cycle of cattle production, but regional size meat companies are who's at the grocery store. So really looking towards those regional size players.
Thank you, Catherine.
Yeah. One follow-up, Catherine. Is your products focusing on retail sales, retail cuts, or added value products?
Both. So we do subprimals into the butcher case, right? So we do box beef, box pork, and box lamb, but then we also do further processed like bricks, portion cut steaks, retail ready products. And every time you handle that product and move it, it adds cost, right? So we slaughter at one plant, we grind at another, we portion cut at a third. So the ability to add capacity to some of these existing facilities would be amazing if they have that partnership with someone who will utilize that capacity. So that's why I really looked to meat companies.
Yeah, perfect. And one thing to add, we had another comment come in on the size of plants. When you're speaking and are giving comments, can you kind of clarify for us if you're a very small by USDA FSIS definition or small? The number of employees a lot of times dictates that small and very small plants. So if you all can let us know what size of plant you're working with also, or if you're calling from a plant.
And also whether you might be state inspected, a state inspected facility, rather than just USDA. Yep.
Yeah, that would all be helpful. Thank you. Next up is Rebecca Werski. Hopefully I pronounced that right.
You did. Thanks, Chris. I'm Rebecca Werski, and our company is considered a very small plant by USDA. I am.
You went on mute, Rebecca.
You're back on. Yeah.
There I am. So I'm Rebecca from Clean Chickens and Company and Happy Halal Meats. We were recipients for MPEP Phase 2. We are, by definition, for USDA, a very small plant. But what people don't know is that I do a lot of grant writing for other butchers and other meat plants. And so having that awareness, there are some techniques I think that maybe Rural Cooperative Services could reach across the aisle and kind of maybe glean some from Ag Marketing Services in regards to the way that they handled MCAP. What I think some of our very small meat shops appreciated was that simplified version for that equipment with a lower match or zero match versus the expanded application for your capital projects. And so I'm really hoping that they would consider doing that if it's possible, written in the language. And then also wondering if those match requirements would be, comparable to your catfish MPEP 3 with a 50% match. A lot of the small plants have a very difficult time getting that, down payment down. And I'm one of them. And so we struggled with the inflation and went over budget and had to gouge out of your labor. And so if we were able to, consider, something comparable versus 30% and maybe the 40 to 50% this round with that 2 million cap.
Yeah. Great comments, Rebecca. Thank you.
Yep.
Next up, we have Devin Ratazi. He put his comments in the chat. And Devin, if you have other things to say, let us know. But your comments are that you're hoping to make these grants for equipment, building upgrades, and to make it recurring, which some of what we heard earlier as well. So thank you for that, Devin. Stephen McClure, you're next.
Yes, Chris, thank you. We, American Protein Specialists, we do consulting in the industry as well as help with writing some of the grants. And we probably wrote, 30 or 40 grants over the last 2 or 3 programs. And one of the big things we hear is the amount of time it takes to make a decision. And also we'd like to ask for the programs to be as specific as possible so that if we're trying to affect the price of the beef is what we're after, then let's make the program specific to what can make that happen. And I know that it's been a big problem. We have so many applications and we understand that it takes a long time to evaluate those. But if we narrowed the focus very tightly and said, this is what we want to do, and this is what the goals of the administration are, I think we could get fewer applications that weren't viable and be able to go forward faster on the ones that do come through. Make sense?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it,
you very
Chris.
much, Stephen. Let's go back out west to Chris Fuller now. Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Yep, there we go. Thanks, guys. I wanted to also echo the sentiment about waste management. I think that there's a need to move towards a more sustainable waste management with beef processing specifically. And I'm not exactly sure how we use this program to capture that, but I think there needs to be a component, whether it's through the loan process that we talked about at the top of the meeting, um, or as was suggested, maybe there's a partnership, but having folks who are really good at managing that waste, whether it's composting or biodigestion, and helping processors to access that, because asking small and very small processors to be experts at that, I think is really not a good solution. But right now, that's pretty much what they have to do. The thing I wanted to talk about is, I think it was touched on a little bit, but I just want to kind of drive it home, is just money for supporting folks who either are being awarded or have been awarded, but supporting the business in the long term. The technical assistance I think that we've been providing has been really good, and trying to grow that so that people have money to allow them to access things like better business plans, financial planning, um, training of employees ongoing, um, process development, becoming efficient, more efficient. Those things are really important, because as soon as you get the money and you build this plant, you need to be able to continue operating, right? So that's something that's a need for sure. And then um, the last thing that I want to talk about is logistics and supply chain. Right now, a lot of small and very small processors are essentially leaning on their producers to be the ones bringing small amounts of livestock very long distances to access their plants. And so if we're able to, I really liked what Catherine said about kind of like almost like a co-applicant or maybe a co-signer, but just trying to pair up processors and producers with companies that can actually haul, whether it's livestock or finished product.
Chris, we're a little over 2 minutes here. So yeah, wrap that one up and then
That's
we'll
it.
move on.
That's
Yep.
all I got.
Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Chris. We have Richard Atkinson had a comment. He said he agrees with Mr. Rattazzi. From my observation, it's extremely important to open the grants up for equipment and building upgrades. Again, we see those needs as well. Next one is Andrew Miller from Real Kansas Meats. You're up.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to thank you. I am a MPAP awardee in the second round, a pretty significant size plant. I've talked to Dave before very many times. I appreciate what Flower Hill Institution has done with us. And I also want to give a shout out real quick to Terry Birch, also the New Hampshire Loan Group. What a fantastic person to work with. My daughter is hand in hand with her all the time. I can't brag enough about that and how we do it and how we turn it in. We are a 300 a day processing plant. We're kind of that niche in between a regional and a small packing plant. After 4 years, it has not been as easy. One of the number one things that I want to talk about here is we have a grant that's awarded to us financially. And our grant happened to be a significant amount that was awarded to us. Well, on a balance sheet, we can't use that at a local bank or a regional bank because it's a reimbursement grant. And I think Rosemary hit it very well. Somehow we need to open this up to where when you get this grant, it doesn't have to be the cash coming to these processing plants, but it has to be a letter or something stating from the government stating, hey, this grant can be used on their balance sheet. If that was the case, we'd be moving forward. Another thing I want to put out there is we just recently signed a $20 million contract in year one. $100 million contract in 5 years. One of the things I want to see is there also institutions out there will help us bridge the gap. I think the biggest thing we see is independent producers is not this grant money. We love it. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited that we got a large grant to build our plant, but we need help to bridge that gap. And so let's find institutions that can loan against those. I would tell everybody it's on here, whether you're processing 10 head a week or 5 head or 300 head a day, look at all your state stuff. I mean, the state of Kansas opened their arms to us. They're still opening their arms on training, on PEAT programs, HIPAA programs. You have to look at that. At 4 years into this, we have went at every avenue. I know I've called Dave quite a few times myself. Again, I think those are things. I would say this is my last point. Number one thing, remember this, all producers are on this. People want to know where the product comes from today. That's a very valuable thing. A true transparency, traceable piece is what we build around Real Kansas Meats. That is huge. Thank you for your
Thank you,
time.
Andrew.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andrew. Appreciate your time. Next up is Jesse Skoglund.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. My name is Jessie Skoglund. My husband and I own a meat processing business, small meat processing business in rural Northwest Iowa. We have recently seen grants come out from both the federal level and our Iowa level, focusing pretty heavily on the custom processing and slaughter. I would say in our area, especially, we're potentially bordering on overcapacity in some markets, especially with beef prices where they are. So I would suggest that maybe this grant be considerate of tailoring to further processing. And also consider that there are many plants that have been around for many years and have contributed greatly to their local economy, their state economy, and I would call them maybe legacy plants. And I know a lot of grants are trying to incentivize new plants coming online, and that's a great opportunity too. But I think it's overlooked that some of these legacy plants have been contributing for many years and have been contributing in different ways. You know, they have a stable workforce. They have something different to add. So just some different points to consider.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jesse. Appreciate you. Next, we'll go up to Nicole Sargent up in Maine. She typed in some comments, and some of the challenges are lack of skilled labor, cost of labor, healthcare cost, access to mental health services, old facilities that need complete upgrades and remodeling, and the need to have equipment to stay competitive. And she one final comment. She's ripping out a cooler right now. So, but thank you, Nicole, for your comments. Next up is
Here's the
Anna.
second, Chris.
Yeah.
Nicole, if you don't get me snowed in here in Portland, Maine today, I'll be up to see you in the morning. So look forward to stopping by your plant.
Next up is Anna. She typed in some comments as well, looking for equipment funding, lower or eliminate the matching funds for very small processors, funding for beef sourcing, purchasing, creating funded contracts with local farmers and ranchers so beef stays local instead of getting shipped west to the feedlots. And then next up, Patrick Robinette, you're up. Oh, let's see. He typed in some thoughts here. Make the grant truly accessible for small and rural processors. Last round favored well-staffed applicants. Allow more flexible matching requirements. Reduce local match to 10 to 20%. Cover working capital. A lot of expansion can be just by gaining cash flow. Include waste management as an eligible expense. Allow for FSIS small plant outreach to take place of costly facility design, HACCP, employee operational training, etc., and then scale grants based on throughput, not necessarily a dollar amount. And then next up we have Michaela Gonzalez in New Mexico. Looking for funding to develop new processing facilities would be very helpful. She also agreed with Rebecca on including solutions for liquid waste. Wastewater has been a big hurdle for them to get their small scale processing up and running. Next comment from Sherry Mitchell. Sherry's pork focused, and we know her from Indiana. She'd like to see a new processor grant for pork processing. That's her focus there in Indiana. So thank you all for your comments. Next comment is from Brian Hess, looking for support for startup efforts for new plant. Next comment from Shannon Smith. Kudos and thanks to NPAN, Goodroots, and processors who participated in the KPI analysis. We have used it to do TA and review for the MPILP loans for processors. Next up is Jen Jarvis, it looks like.
Yeah. These are great
Hi.
comments, folks.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so. Thank you very much for having this meeting and taking the time. And thanks for everybody who's mentioned things that I get to cross off my list so I can use my 2 minutes for other things. I greatly appreciate that, Andrew, about the funding and things like that. So I'm working with Alaska Meat Packers. They're one of 3 USDA plants in the state of Alaska who's been open and shut and open and now under new ownership. And we're really trying to take the approach of focusing on the meat system as a whole. Looking at growing herds, we call it, and that's supporting the system as a whole. We went through times in our meat system where we really supported ranchers, then we were losing infrastructure now, and then focusing on infrastructure. So really looking at encouraging that, working together and coordinating across the state for that. So transportation is an issue. The plant that we are at right now closed at the 4-H season. If you've been to the Alaska State Fair, they had to shell out $40,000 in transportation to get those 4-H animals to a USDA plant up in North Pole. We look to need some support. We're inspected by the USDA daily on all activities going on in the plant. So looking to delineate the USDA inspection process to allow for cutting out for retail cutting outside the hours of the inspection, just the same as maybe a retail store. We don't have a huge retail presence right now, and we're looking at that exemption, but looking to take that barrier away. Incentivizing retailers to support some of those local and regional plants moving forward. We are small. Also, when we talk about the mobile slaughter units, looking to find a way that we need those and we need standalone processing facilities. We need both to be able to feed our state. And finally, the USDA, we have a program that a part of our population comes from one of the prisons, and we're building a USDA butcher apprenticeship. We pay our employees that are coming from Palmer Correction Facility $13 an hour, and we need to increase that capacity as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Great comments from Alaska. Thank you. We know there's a lot of need up there, so appreciate you joining us today. Seeing some good comments for New Hampshire Community Loan Fund. I know we have Luke Knowles and Terry Birch on the call, so Dave and I will both give you a shout out. We have a great relationship with those folks working on the MCAP grants and the MPEP Phase 2. So thank you all for everything you're doing on that. Next up, we have Jennifer Howard from Rural Coalition.
Hey everyone, pleasure to be here. I'm with Rural Coalition. We are a coalition that's been around since 1978, working with family farms, small scale farms, and farm workers. My role, I guess right now on the call is learning more about the grant program and how to voice it to our farmers to share the information. I think what our farmers are looking for, especially the small scale farmers, is just a program that will help with processing facilities, the food safety, humane worker safety. Is kind of some of the top priorities. We also help with financial planning and USDA loan assistance and risk management options for those who are needing assistance with that. But really just a coalition of farmers just trying to get together and work towards a common goal of getting things completed. So I believe I met Dave at Farm Aid. We had a booth by you, so it's a pleasure to be here and be on the call and listening to all of everyone's concerns. I do definitely agree with what has been mentioned, and excited to see how this rolls out.
Yeah,
Thank
Chris
you so
and I
much.
were both there and enjoyed being right next to Rural Coalition. And let me just give a shout out too. Rural Coalition is one of the organizations that we have a partnership with through the Meat and Poultry Technical Assistance. So those partners that we have, we rely on them to help us get information out to their constituencies about things such as this grant opportunity. So thank you for being with us, Jennifer.
Yeah, no
We've
problem.
had,
Glad to be here.
we've had several people join us in the middle of the call here or middle of the listening session. If you have comments or questions for us, please put your name in the chat, and we're working our way down the list still now, and we'll try to make sure we get to you if you have some comments to share. Next up is Shirley Allen. She gives everyone a thank you for all the advocacy for the small processing startup and existing plants. Christina Witham in Oregon is looking at processing plant but to address Rebecca's full carcass use, we're looking at an added biodigester to the kill area. 100% waste can be processed with a byproduct of fertilizer, syngas, and electricity. Next up, Elizabeth Hines. She's got some comments here with the Minnesota Farmers Union. They have extensive experience in building training programs, particularly in livestock and meat production. I hear and see a lot of comments around training. I'd be interested to hear what component of training is the main challenge for small rural operators, as the grants tend to focus on where and how mentorship detail, but not addressing the key challenges that I've heard most often from small operators in getting training accomplished. What does this group think about training barriers in previous training grants? What might address some of your barriers, time, access in your location, and recruitment? So thank you for those comments and thoughts, Elizabeth. Next up is Devin Ratazi. Did you have some comments, Devin?
Yeah, appreciate that. All right, thanks. Bye.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, buddy. We can get
Are you there?
Yeah, we can hear you, Devin.
Hey, this is Linda, his wife. We own a small plant in Mitchell, South Dakota. We really need grants for new equipment to be able to open up, pushing ready to eat beef. We are USDA inspected to get it over these state lines. Right now, we're USDA inspected. We are shipping to Georgia, Florida. We have a guy that takes quite a few beef down that way just because of the cost is such expensive down there. But equipment and building, getting grant money to help with getting like a butcher apprenticeship. And it's very difficult where we're at to find anybody with any kind of background. So that is a big push right here. We can't find help that have any experience. Love to put them in through an apprenticeship program to keep these butchers alive. But equipment and buildings.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Linda. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Darren Froming had a comment again. He said they think it's important not to allow large establishments by USDA's definition to apply in order to provide sufficient resources focused on small and very small establishments. Now, thank you for that. Curleen Rogers, did you want to speak? We've got a few comments typed here, but we'll give you an opportunity if you want it. No, I'll go ahead and read.
I just had a few thoughts. It's very important that we get grants for value-added products, and waste handling systems is a big thing. These days, our landfill has been closed, and we've been having some issues with that. So it'd be nice to have a grant that would provide assistance with waste handling systems.
Yeah.
Thank you, Curleen.
Thank you.
Just for folks on the program here, Curleen's calling in from the Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
and it's a critical issue there to increase their capacity for their producers there on the island. So appreciate it, Carleen.
Thank you for
Thank you for
inviting
everything.
me. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for everything you all are doing down there, Curleen. It's amazing to see what you've got going on there.
Thank you. You're the best.
Next up,
Appreciate it.
we've got Mr. Larry Moore out in North Carolina. He typed in a few comments. They strongly agree with Kansas Meats and let processors use grants on their balance sheets. Grant funds for equipment and expansion of facilities is definitely needed, and consideration that would allow use of funds for programs to support more meat cutter training. So we're hearing a lot of the training components here today, and Dave and I see that need as well on our travel. So thank you for your comments, Larry, and I appreciate everything you're doing out there in North Carolina as well. Next up, we've got Jennifer Ristine. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Do you want to speak, Jennifer? She did type in the comments. She does echo the request for equipment and facility improvements. Let's see. Next up, Adam, no need. Okay. Next up, Connor Kipp. Connor's comments where we regularly work with meat processors, meat companies, and many of the folks on this call. Thanks to everyone for their thoughts and Flowery Hill for hosting this. Not saying anything novel here, but from what we hear from processors, companies, purchasers is the below. Small and very small focus only, no large plants. Large beef plants are closing or don't have demand. Definite coordination between rural development, Food Safety Inspection Service, Food Nutrition Service, and NASDA. Make sure that not only these plants being awarded, but there's sufficient coordination so they can quickly, appropriately scale or update. Make sure we pair this with technical assistance like MPPTA and other programs such as the Meat and Poultry Processing Intermediary Lending Program and lenders. Focuses much on further processing, byproduct utilization, waste management, as much as slaughtering and processing expansion. Keep it open to not just beef. Think about multi-species, please. Thank you for those comments, Connor. Next
and
up
I would
is,
just say NSAC is another partner for us in the MPPTA. So appreciate our working relationship with them.
yeah. And next up, we have Stephanie Shirk from the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture. Thank you for joining us, Stephanie. Her comments, she just wanted to second the recommendation stated so far. Every suggestion is something we have heard need for in Pennsylvania as well, especially support for rendering, offal waste, biodigester waste, and energy efficiency upgrades. This applies to all other suggestions for meat processing as well as poultry, pork, and small livestock. We often hear requests for equipment, facility improvement, and cold storage grants. So thank you so much for that. Next up, we have Adam from Quapaw Food Services Authority. The main issue we are seeing is access to freezer space, cold storage. We would like to see this grant be able to be utilized to build a cold storage facility to the community can utilize. We are located very close to Northwest Arkansas, and all of the cold storage is leased out to large poultry companies. So thank you for that, Adam. Let's see. Scrolling on down the list, Josh Weimer in Wiley, Colorado. His comments are, we would like to see grant opportunities for additional cold storage to ease freezer bottlenecks and thus slowing the production process. We would also like to see options available to add in a smokehouse to open an avenue for ready-to-eat products. Partnerships with local producers would be huge for us. Yeah, so lots of added value need there, it sounds like. So thank you for that, Josh. We've got Mr. Craig Harry out in Wyoming, and definitely agree with processor workforce training funds to be added. Seems to be the common need for small communities and workforce. Yeah, Craig out in Wyoming is there's a lot of need there. You guys are very remote, so Cold storage and logistics, I know, is definitely a challenge out there as well. Just one more comment here. Got bumped in there from Will Harper, Saltgrass Ranch in Alabama. A major benefit with the grant funds to offset and subsidize U.S. raised protein products to local regional food service and end use customer would be tremendous to help reduce the cost. Secondly, the ability to utilize the grant funds for creating local processor collaborative training events. So yeah, more workforce development needs there for sure too. So we appreciate that, Will. Again, anyone that has any comments or
Are
suggestions
we
you
down
want
to the bottom of the list there, Chris?
I believe we found the bottom there, Dave.
Okay, well, then it looks like we have
Got a,
some folks here.
got a few more
Let's
pop.
see here. Yeah, Paul Savansky from Minnesota Farmers Union Bottleneck Project. So go ahead, Paul.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you. Yes, I'm with the Minnesota Farmers Union Bottleneck Project. And I just want to, first of all, echo a couple of comments in support of Rebecca's these comments, particularly in the issue having a low match or no match, and going with that 2 million cap. I think that's important to have a significant amount of dollars there. I also think thinking about how can you address the inflation factor, like what she faced. So when a plant starts, we're not all of a sudden in trouble right away. I also would like to bring out a piece of work that we've been engaged in, probably quite a bit different than a lot of other people working on the bottleneck issue. We have lots of processors here in Minnesota, small processors, very important to small rural communities. And most of those are custom and then custom in retail. And I think some thought ought to be given in how do we address those folks, helping those folks. They are often the mainstay of a community. I support the other programs that advance, bring on new people. That's all good, or help people upgrade. That's all good work, and appreciate the work that all of you have done that way. The other part is, I think the issue of mentorship has to be addressed. A workforce for these small plants and the training, apprenticeships. That's one of the pieces that we focused on in terms of that workforce issue. So think about workforce as you're expanding your horizons, so to speak. Thank you so much for the work you do.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, we had a few more come in now. Tanya Moyer mentioned would echo the sentiment for waste management, equipment upgrades, and focus on very small facilities. Stacy Hedrick, do you have a comment you'd like to speak up?
Yeah, thank you. I'm a rancher from South Dakota, and my husband and I received the first round of MPEP, but to build a processing facility, but we got caught up in the inflation issue and just were unable to get our plant built. But so we've never let that idea go. We are processing about 60 head of our personal cattle a year and selling them into retail. Mostly we do some direct sales and we can ship. So as I looked at our needs and how to make this happen and how to utilize perhaps this money, I really agree that there's an existing kind of conversation that seems to be going and then a startup conversation, right? So how do we balance those dollars between the two different entities? Certainly those I can understand wanting to add equipment. Further processing, I think, is just really, really key in this. I don't disagree that we have processing capacity for large animals, but I do think the value added component is really important if we're going to look at being able to access these markets and actually getting local beef or local meats into retail and wholesale opportunities. That's really where we're lacking to make that happen. I also want to comment just for a second on the loan program. That was a real challenge for us last time of entities that received loan money to loan back out. Their risk capacity and their understanding of meat processing was lacking. And I think you guys have worked to address that, but continue to think about that because that was a very big frustration of we had our numbers, we had everything ready to go, and then we were told many times that return on investment wasn't very high. As we know in meat processing, it isn't. So making sure of that. Also, I just want to stress that I think having solid business plans and marketing plans as part of the proposals is really important. And I know everybody kind of was frustrated about feasibility studies, the cost that maybe goes into that, but I think those are really key to helping these actually be successful. So emphasizing that in the application process, I think is really good, although painful at times, is really key to putting together a solid business. So thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. And when you're talking about the loan program, I'm sure you're referring to the meat and poultry intermediary lending program. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. Great comment, Stacy. Keith DeHaan, I'm going to call on your wisdom here in just a minute, so get ready. I'm going to read a comment from Rhonda Ashby real quick. One thing I would mention is the timing and processes of the grant application and awards. As an equipment supplier, we run into issues with price changes and other product changes before the grants were awarded. In addition, I witnessed several processors lose potential customers because they were not able to obtain the equipment quickly. And I also see a lot of education needs as well. So thank you for your comments, Rhonda. And Keith, I know, we work with you a lot as well. You've got a lot of years of experience in the industry and you work with a lot of processors. So Keith, share a few words of wisdom with us and what you see in the industry.
Thank you, Chris and Dave. Great to see both of you, and also a lot of the participants we know. We're very fond of you, all of you, and thank you for your time today and in the past. First of all, I will just kind of make a shout out about the grant app process, and I don't know what we're going to see as far as any new wrinkles to that this time. Maybe some of you might know. We don't know. We're down a grant writer in our company. I think a lot of you know who she is. She's decided to have a litter of children, and that's limited her time. It's so selfish. She's so selfish of her to do that. But anyway, that's put a lot of pressure on Matt and myself because we're getting a lot of calls. We're getting a lot of calls on these grant apps, and so we might reach out to many of you on helping us there because we might be able to, Matt and myself might be able to churn a few out, but my God, that's not really what we do. So we reach out to you to help us in that capacity. So for those that might want to send us their information about maybe providing service through our company to get that done, very much appreciate it. All right, back to your original question. Many of you brought up biofermentation, biodigestion. Don't bother, not for small plants, ain't gonna work. It doesn't work for big plants. And if it doesn't work for big plants, it's not gonna work for small plants. So just kind of take that out of your vocabulary. But wastewater, I believe Rebecca's comment about wastewater is very, very legitimate. We struggle with that, we work with that. My brother is very, very, very skilled in that area and has helped a lot of our clients through that process. He's a kind of a associate with our company as well. He has his own, but he's going to associate with us and help a lot of our clients through that process. But that's a biggie. That's especially for any startups and any kind of expansion, especially for the custom exempt plants that we're now want to expand and get larger. That's pretty key. And the comment in Minnesota is especially true. That Minnesota is not an easy state to get wastewater approvals. So that's something that that we've worked a lot with and will continue to. As far as the financials are concerned, I hate to say this, but scale and scope and volume do impact what you're doing. Very, very, very small plants will always struggle because their costs are so high, very, very high, and it's hard to be competitive and you have to charge it. You have to charge that to actually survive in the business world. So we deal a lot with that. People come at us all the time, and with these very, very small plants, they just don't cash flow. I wish they would. Gosh, we wish they would because they provide a wonderful service. But at the end of the day, we're not providing a lot of good consultation to clients if they can't cash flow. Cash flow is king, and anything.
Keith, I got you. You've gone through. You're a little over the 2 minutes here, so
I'm done. Thanks,
Okay,
Dave.
and
I
we'll
always,
have
I
to
can
do
always
another.
count on you to put a hammer on me. Thank you, Dave.
yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
and
Thank you so
I'm
much, Keith. You're on mute, Dave.
I'm glad you mentioned the grant writing because I know we do have some folks on there that are grant writers. And drop us your information. We also have a resource directory within our website at Flower Hill, and part of that directory are folks that do grant writing and consultation. So it's no charge to be listed. Send us your information and we'll try and get you included in that.
Yeah. Next up, we're going to go out to Washington State. Miss Sarah Lemon, who we work with at the Department of Agriculture. Did you have some comments, Sarah?
I do. My camera's not turning on, but we'll do it incognito.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris, so much for calling on me. And thank you, MPPTA, for having this, and to USDA for being interested in having a listening session before this new grant opportunity comes out. The previous grants have been so impactful, both in Washington and across the state. We really appreciate it. For my part, I would like to echo the sentiment that waste management is key. That's something here in Washington State with some new state regulations that we're dealing with that has become even more of a challenge than it has been in the past with the consolidation of the rendering industry. So I'd love to see funding for especially new technologies, say for aerobic thermophilic digesters or other on-site for these small and very small plants, which is where we see the biggest needs still in Washington State. I'd also echo the sentiment for continuing MPPTA support. That's been essential to supporting my program and to supporting our processors across the state. There could be funding in the grant program for costs specifically related to business programming or metrics as allowable grant costs. I think that would be an excellent use of these funds. Outside of that, I still think that sort of business planning, leadership management planning for these small and very small plants is also really essential to find funding somewhere in the federal system for those activities. And then lastly, I would also agree that the focus now for the need in Washington on equipment and expansion basis is for ready-to-eat products and other value-added products. And I would add, just to make sure that there's maybe a prioritization for equipment that meets the specs for school procurement standards. That's something a number of our processors have run into. They've got this great equipment, whether it's patty makers, but they don't meet the school food standards. And so that has prevented them from accessing those really important markets. So to keep that in mind, thank you again for this opportunity.
Yeah. Thank you, Sarah. It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to work with you on your projects out there. Next up, we have some comments from Clinton Jenny Osner out in Kansas. They want to support our local farmers and bring in their local grown beef to sell a niche product. We can buy box meat from our wholesaler and process that here, but we want to be a retailer supporting local beef farmers. Please open the grant up to expansion of current building and or processing equipment. Adding on a smokehouse room to existing business would benefit us as well. We would also benefit from education on how to get it from the field to the local locker and then to us to process in the retail space. So, that full business development and working with your community, that's all super important. So thank you for those comments, Clinton, Jenny. Let's see. Next one, we've got a few questions. Marvin Pearson, looks like you're up.
Hey there, Chris and Dave. We go back to the Bison Association and Quapaw days and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be some of these funds devoted to rescuing some plants that are failing. And we see them not have a good marketing plan, so some of the funds need to be set aside for marketing. Chris, what I'm talking about, we go there and they just don't have a way to market it. They're mom and pop shop, and it takes all they can do just to run the plant every day, not get out and market it. So there needs to be some marketing. But the added value, I mean, I can echo the added value. You guys know what we're doing, and I mean, we're having between 50 and 70,000 pounds processed a month to go into our sticks and our shelf stable, ready to eat product, if you will. And I think these plants that are just marginally profitable, if they could get that added value equipment in there, learn how to run it, learn how to make sticks. You've seen what we've done. We've gone to some plants that haven't had that, helped them fund the roll stock machines or whatever, and then people find that plant from the USDA stamp, and all of a sudden they get so busy they can't handle what we're doing. Our lead times get too long, and we go to another plant. We're currently using 3 different plants across the nation, and there's definitely a way to make these smaller plants profitable if they'll do some of that added value. So, like I say, also maybe some rescue funds, because if someone could go in there and teach them the added value, they'll come to that. I mean, like one person said, it's not the field of dreams. You can't build this plant and I think it's going to just, they're going to line up at the doors to have things slaughtered, and customers are going to buy the retail finished meat.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Marvin, thank you. And for those of the small and very small processors, Marvin is a testament that co-packing is a real business. Marvin, the stick and jerky business, they use co-packers all around the United States, and they use very small plants to do that work. So there's a lot of business available if you're in that added value space. So
And
keep
they
that in
have some
mind.
delicious products too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
God
thank you,
bless our
Marvin.
hard work, that's for sure. But we just
Yeah.
get tired of hopping around to different plants. It's time we go out and buy our own or build our own, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Marvin.
Thank you, Marvin.
Next comments from Fawn Shear, offering input for reference. Look at how to refine grant agreement and administrative requirements to better align with private sector business needs and activities. Make business decisions on a different timeline and scale than government. Have needs for flexibility when adjustments are needed without having to wait for several weeks to get approval. Require grant funds to be available in advance rather than reimbursement, or to be used to negotiate terms with vendors and lenders. While accountability is important, it should be balanced with need for implementation and navigating the business environment. So thank you for those comments, Fawn. We got Mr. Mark Sidarius out in Montana. I would agree with diversification and value added being very important, as well as education. I would add that plants that have not received a previous MPEP award should be prioritized. As a plant that has made significant upgrades to an old plant with minimal grant help, this would be a huge opportunity for us. They're out in Columbia Falls, Montana. Great project out there. Rebecca adds a comment about anaerobic digesters can work for small plants. They make compost in 24 hours, not the same as anaerobic methane digester, which I agree is not applicable to small plants. We have Jamie Boring. Do you have some comments for us, Jamie?
Yes, good morning. Thank you. I just would like to mirror a couple of the thoughts. The training is a big deal for us in Alaska. And I would add that any funding to support small and very small herds would go a long way as part of a plant development strategy to make sure that there's plenty of throughput. Also here in Alaska, we're not a very ag-friendly state. And so increased USDA programs to support the importance of small and very small agriculture and how it impacts the local economy. I would say that a lot of people just go to the store, they buy imported food, and they're not really connected. So anything to remind folks about shopping local at all levels, both state, local, and at the USDA level would be helpful. Matching funds grants are hard in Alaska because we're risk adverse. So having a matching fund program historically doesn't work very well here. So having that option be opened up to more of a commercial lending kind of strategy, I think would be helpful, and that's been mentioned before. Transportation solutions, anything to support transportation. We import most of our livestock feed. It's double the cost of what it would be in the lower 48, which makes farming agriculture in the state of Alaska very hard. So any grant funding that supports community investment into infrastructure related to transportation is certainly would be welcome, and diversification. And then anything around value-added community commissary kitchens to turn raw ingredients into value-added or shelf-stable to better serve the state, either in conjunction with a plant or a standalone facility. Any of those things would benefit our state a lot. Thanks again for the opportunity.
Jamie, what primary species are you all processing there? We know we see a lot of variations in Alaska, so what would be your primary species?
So the Alaska meat packers in Palmer is predominantly beef, and then it's hogs, and then followed by sheep and goats. But and you and I have talked, we're now USDA approved for poultry. And then we're also looking to bring in reindeer herds. We have several reindeer herd population in the state, and like lots of small businesses, they're trying to figure out how to get that product to market and have it be USDA inspected. And so we're starting to get some tailwinds on figuring out how to support getting that from rural Alaska into a USDA plant in a proper way.
Gotcha.
Great.
Yeah, thank you so much for your comments.
Chris, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to read the one from Leah because I just saw Leah this morning.
Oh, great.
They're stopped by their plant. So yeah, hi there, Leah Farnham from Nest and Mullen LLC in Kennebunk, Maine, a very small custom processor working on transitioning to be a state-inspected multi-species plant. For us, we need equipment updates, smokehouse, scalder deharer, overhead hoist, stunners, finishers, updates to our buildings, such as wash walls, rail coolers, and knocking pins, so we can finish making the transition to inspection. Yeah, I just visited with Leah and her dad there, and again, they've been working to upgrade. They had a fire in 2020, so they're rebuilding and looking for some funds for expansion. So appreciate you being on, Leah.
Yeah, no, that's great. Good comments from Maine. Andrew Vega in Chicago. I know I've chatted with Andrew in the past. We have been a USDA plant since 1965. We do a few different things, but one of them is canning a variety of meat items. These ready-to-eat, shelf-stable items go to retail grocery stores and for food service. We have seen significant increase in demand for these kinds of products. Will companies like ours receive consideration for this grant to expand processing capacity? We noticed previous funding was concentrated for businesses upstream of us. So we do appreciate the comment. I don't know that we have your answer, but you definitely have expressed that need there. So thank you for that, Andrew. That's the kind of the bottom of our list. I think do we want to give USDA staff an opportunity to also respond or ask any questions, maybe in a follow-up of what they've heard over the
One
last
question
hour?
just came in from Mark Anderson was, what is the timeline on this grant program? So maybe this is a good chance to segue to some of the folks that are on from USDA Rural Development that there. So I don't know if Sammy or who wants to comment from USDA.
And we had another one come in here. We'll see if we have anyone that is able to chat. Jerry Dellis looks like the producer partnership is the only USDA federally inspected, nonprofit owned and operated processing facility in the United States. Any chance there can be some help with housing? We need more people. There are some other housing programs, Jerry, that we can maybe help share with. Some of those are also through rural development programs, but I don't know that this grant is going to focus on housing itself, but there are some other programs we can definitely connect you with. But please send us an email on that if you would, Jerry. We'll have our contact info up at the end of this session.
Right.
All
All
right. We're at the bottom of the list again. Does anyone have any comments that you'd like to share? We've lost a few participants. We're still over 100 on the call right now. So if anyone has anything you want to share, please let us know and add it to the chat.
Yeah, if you have a second question or a second comment you want to make, yeah, we have time. We can give you back 30 minutes of your day, but Yeah.
So, Chris and Dave, this is Mark Sidarius.
Yeah.
So, I just want to say, so we're in Columbia Falls, Montana, up between Flathead Lake and Glacier National Park. We are the second producer cooperative owned meat processing plant in Montana. Montana Farmers Union has been instrumental in getting both those off the ground. But, just for the USDA folks, I mean, without these funds, without MPILP, without local MCAP, without MPEP, without all of these opportunities, most of these people on this call would not be here right now, us included. And without, Flower Hill Institute and all the other technical providers, we would not be here. We would not be on the call. We would not be in business. We'd have never got our project off the ground. So I just want to voice the value of all of this and the fact that these programs are putting the resources and the money where it needs to go to be successful.
Dave?
Yeah, Roger.
Hey, Roger.
Yeah, I wanted to add to Mark's last comment there that the more than 150 participants, because there's some signed on and then others signed off and more jumped on. So I think we're probably by a conservative count 150 or so participants, but all as learners and many as teachers. Really collected many practical ideas, concepts, and strategies that will help inform the decision makers at USDA as they share their life lived perspectives. And they did it in less than 2 minutes, and they did it round robin very efficiently. And I think the perspectives coming from Alaska all the way to the islands and many points in between all those really, I think, recognize the importance of the continued support from USDA in these kinds of programs and this community that is being built and having opportunities to share here, I think, is really important. And again, in a very effective and efficient manner. I think that this call could not have been more timely, kind of where we are and just in the sector and the economy and where the community is. I'd like to recognize Dave, Chris, and Nicole at Flower Hill, who are deeply committed to this community. And I think it's evidenced in, Dave was out on the road meeting with folks before this call and going to get back on the road right after this call. So just honored to be a small part of listening in on this call. I thought it was an amazing call and really practical and useful. And I hope that the USDA agrees with that they really received a lot of really good information in a short period of time. We spent nearly 2 hours with lots of folks spending 2 minutes with clear and concise perspective sharing. So just wanted to thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Roger.
Yeah. We've had a few
yeah.
more comments come in. I'll read off the few more comments here. As anyone just know, collect your final thoughts here and please add them to the chat if you have some final thoughts. Keith added a comment about his comments regarding biodigestion was not directed to compost. We are bullish on that. I was talking about the biodigestion to gas production. So thank you for that clarification, Keith. I know we kind of see a lot of the compost requests and demands for composting in different ways. So many folks are looking for alternatives to sending their byproducts to the landfill. None of us want to see that product end up in the landfill. Diane Padilla added, I hope the grant also identifies the areas of need as a consideration. I hear several speakers say they have processors, but the RGV lacks processors. Our meat processors are more than 4 hours away.
And what she's talking about there, Chris, is the Rio Grande Valley.
Oh, Rio Grande, South Texas, yeah.
Down in South Texas, down in the Rio Grande Valley. So that's, yeah.
Andy Lucas added with Community Development Services on behalf of Colusa, CDFA, USDA Slaughter and Processing Facility in Northern California. Thanks to USDA and Flower Hill, you can call on me. Thank you very much. And here's our friend John Jamerson in Indiana, Legacy Taste of the Garden. John, do you have some comments for us or suggestions? You're doing some amazing work there in Indiana, John. Thank you. I'm not sure if you're on mute maybe right now if you're trying to
Yeah,
talk. There you
I
are.
was just trying to play with my phone. It it not have problems on this mute thing.
I understand, brother.
Yeah, so no, I'm just glad to be here and to see the work that's still being done. Um, as we try to, the best way I can put it, understand who moved my cheese and where the funding and stuff is going to be at. It's going to take all of us to work together, and for me, it's just a reiteration of the work that we have to do together to support one another in these areas, because we have to do like they did back in over 100 years ago, and we have to come together in forums like this to be able to push and support what needs to be in the agricultural community, because people who don't understand agriculture, who don't understand farming, are making decisions that affect us and can potentially, bring us to our demise. And so, just to continue to have these types of opportunities to come together to share is great. And whatever it is I can do to help further the information and passing it on, I'm more than happy to do. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We had a comment from Ashley Clark come in. I meant to add that we are a very small facility that handles slaughter to package. Our value added right now is in RTE. So we're hoping RTE with beef, bison, and pork. We want to expand into poultry, USDA slaughter and processing, and there isn't one in North Carolina at all. We have hundreds of farmers needing this service. Then we have Mark Anderson. You have a couple comments for us, Mark?
Yeah, thank you, Chris and Rob. Just echoing off of John Jamerson's comment, and there's a lot of comments here that similar and echo, and I'm just wondering if we go back to the first speaker from Washington about a mobile processor processing capacity. Is there a way, now this is outside of this particular grant we're discussing, and hopefully the USDA defines clearly what their objectives are of this, so we don't spend a bunch of time writing out a grant, waiting a year and then not getting it. But is there other grant opportunities from different agencies or cooperatives where maybe there's some shared resources that can travel to the Grand Run Valley, or a mobile processing that does kind of a milk run methodology where it goes into a place, processes, and goes to the next valley? One thing I haven't heard much comments of, but hints of, is how do we get these products to the customers at a reasonable price? Everything I do, once it goes through a broker or distributor, it's so astronomically priced, nobody's buying it. Yeah, we can add more value, but really, honestly, all that value added, if it's going through the grocery stores or the internet, the shipping costs on it's still not economic to the rural producers. So maybe there's another conversation outside of this to where we can, dare I say, unionize or build co-ops between these processors, because we all have the similar stories, similar problems, and maybe we can unite and solve it in a mechanism that works for everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for your help today.
Yeah, Mark, let me just say, be above and beyond just any grant programs. That's one of the priorities we're looking at through our technical assistance network. Since we began in 2022, we've had more than 1,500 requests for technical assistance. So we have a map now with, processors all the way from the Virgin Islands to Guam, and getting to the opportunity for processors to cooperate and aggregate as possible is something that we're working on. So appreciate those comments.
For sure. And there are some successful co-ops even on the call, Mark. So co-ops are working in a lot of different areas.
Yes.
We have some friends from Puerto Rico that are on the call. They have a wonderful pork co-op down there that we work with. And of course, Mark Siderius from Columbia Falls, they've got a wonderful co-op that they formed to actually save a plant that was getting ready to shut down. They were able to purchase it, rejuvenate it, and make some much needed improvements to the plant. So co-ops are working. Just in order to have a cooperative, everyone must cooperate. So that's sometimes hard to find.
Yeah. Yeah.
Couple other comments. Andy made a comment. And how can applicants best prepare to apply and utilize MPEP to RFA? What is the total anticipated award amount for the program nationally? Andy, as far as preparation goes, Dave mentioned, getting on sam.gov and having that work done. We obviously also recommend getting on grants.gov, having that, making sure that username and password are active. Make sure that you follow that SAM process all the way through the end. You need that unique entity identifier to be able to apply for a grant. You also need to make sure you have a viable business plan. We recommend this to everybody. It's been mentioned on this call several times by several different consultants and business people that you must have a good business plan. So regardless of whether you're applying for this grant or not, we will advise you to have a good business plan and update your business plan. So those are some key things that you can start to prepare for this grant on.
Chris, I don't know if it's going to be a certainty, but previous grants have said for new projects a feasibility study is required, and those can take a little bit of time. I think there's some input to USDA on really what's essential in a feasibility study and what's not, but that's something as well. Also, to just jump up, Callie put in here, said, when will the grant availability be announced? And Melinda from Rural Development, who's working on this grant, says early in 2026. The goal is in January or February. And I know they're working very hard on this. And that's why this input is so important today, because they're all listening in and taking notes on what everybody's saying.
Yeah, yeah. And then had another comment come in from Sadie Elsner. Elsner Meat Processing, a very small plant, opened in February 22 after investing all personal funds into rebuilding an older, failing establishment. Since opening, we have not taken salaries. Instead, every dollar has been reinvested into modernizing the facility and transitioning from custom exempt to state inspection, and finally to full federal inspection. Despite these efforts, significant improvements are still needed to meet increasing demand, improve food safety infrastructure, and expand capacity. USDA support is essential to help complete upgrades that the business has been unable to afford due to continuous reinvestment and rising operational costs. We'll appreciate any guidance on applying. We're already set up in sam.gov. We've missed out on the last grants, but looking for direction. Valuable comments, Sadie. Thank you for those. Stay tuned. Just know we're here to help, so stay in contact with us as well. We've got Eliezer from Puerto Rico. Eliezer, do you have any comments or wisdom you'd like to share from Puerto Rico with us?
Hey, hi guys. No, I've been hearing about everybody. It's a pleasure you having us today here today. I want to take advantage of your time and say thank you, Dave and Chris, for everything you guys do for the agriculture in Puerto Rico and in the United States. That's all I want to say. Hopefully we can meet down here in Puerto Rico in a couple of weeks from now.
Absolutely. Yeah, looking forward to to see the future of the cooperative that you all have built there. And thank you so much for everything you're doing, Eliezer.
Great. Chris, I think the administrator has some comments that he'd like to make as well.
Wonderful.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. And just wanted to say that I appreciate everyone's input here, and we'll certainly take everything back as we start to craft the program and really fulfill the vision that the secretary has for improving beef prices across the United States, and of course also fit this and tailor this to the needs that the processing community has. So we'll take a look at everything that's been said today, of course, and then all of your comments in the chat, which are extremely helpful, and just look forward to the communication as we build this program out. As far as timeline's concerned, we'd really like to have this opened up in the first quarter of 2026, calendar 2026, and then the grants being awarded in the second quarter of 2026. So there is some time before these start, the window opens up, and then the awards start being given out in the program. So definitely appreciate all of the continued feedback, and thank you again to the folks at Flower Hill for having us here today so that we could have this session.
Well, I appreciate your team for being here and listening to the comments as well. So.
Yeah. It's definite shows a commitment, Mr. Administrator, on spending 2 hours with us today. So we know you value the input that all of our processors are sharing.
Of course, thank you.
Jerry, if you can send us a separate email on your question, we'll be happy to we can share awardee lists with you from previous grants. I think we're winding down, Dave. If anyone has any final comments or suggestions, please add them to the chat as we start to wrap up here.
And what I'll do, Chris, is if I still have it, I may have closed it here, but I just wanted to put up a slide that has our contact information. We're always available to help folks here. So unfortunately, I closed out there, but I'll grab it here real quick. So if anybody has a comment they want to give here at the end.
Like Mark Anderson got kicked out, but he's coming back in. But yeah, we appreciate you all joining us today as Dave gets our contact info up. If you all have any questions, comments, anything else you'd like us to make sure and share with USDA staff, you can definitely email that to Dave or I direct, and we'll make sure they get your comments. If you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning tomorrow morning and decide you failed to mention something, you can always let us know. So here's our contact info. That's even our cell numbers on there. So we Dave and I take calls 7 days a week, and we try not to do them from midnight to 4 a.m. So depending on what time zone you're in, we may have to decline your call if it's after midnight, but we take calls all the time. So thank you all for joining us. And here's a QR
also,
code.
yeah, if you want to reach out for technical assistance, just on that QR code there, that goes right to us, and we'll try and reach out within 24 hours. Maybe an email saying we need more information, but we'll definitely get back to you.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Thank you all very much for joining us today.
Yep. Thank you all.